close that, sorry. Very professional. Righto, first thing I have in the cupboard of destiny, whatever the hell you want to call it, is something that you probably would never expect. This is an aluminium little dish, pan, whatever you want to call it. I got it from the tip, and this sucker I use this to melt lead with. And this is my lead weight mold. So I melt lead in here, old sinkers, just bits of old lead I find on building sites sometimes, or I go to the tip and ask for it, or you get lead from millions of different places. But first thing I do is I go outside and I set a little bench up, and I get a fan that's blowing the horrible lead, because you get lead poisoning if you breathe it in. So make sure if you're going to do this, do it in a very well ventilated space. So I do this outside. I've got a fan blowing that blows the air that I don't want to breathe out of there, and also wear a face mask just in case, because lead poisoning sucks. So I've got the mould here. I just pretty much melt it all down in this. It just holds nicely, and then chuck it in here, melt it down, pour it on in, and just use these to hold on to the pan so you don't get burnt, or there's something there like a hook or something there's the hook or something you got to pick them out, screwdriver, stir the lead around, and it all fits in there, and it all can go away nicely like that. It's compact, all my lead melting stuff is in one space, and then I just have to get it turned on. Alright, got my little bucket here. Righto, so what I was saying about the lead weight before, this is one that I have casted from old sinkers, and there's a couple of old lead weights I had, diving weights that were not doing too good, and they were rubbing on my belt on the insides there and actually damaging my belt. So I made sure to melt it all down and repurpose it, and this is what you get. This is like my first weight ever, so as you can see it's laid up. It looks like an old person. It's like your old people's skin, or you spend a long time in the bath and your hands get all wrinkly. That's what that looks like. I thought it would be a little bit funny, but yeah, it's works great. Just basically just lead, just help you sink and stay down to the bottom when stalking fish. So moving right along in my little, I've got like a little bucket here. So the flag from the float just sits on there, and Bob's your uncle. You don't get hit by crazy boatmen or jet skis or anything. Blue and white signal diver is below, all that good stuff. This is what I use to cut my rubbers with. So you would have seen the video I made on how to change your gun's rubber. I'll probably try to put it up in one of the top corners of the video, but basically how you do it is I chose a meat cleaver for when you're cutting the rubbers. This isn't, I need to give this a bit of a sharpen, but last time I used this, your hand stays well and clear of the dangerous edge. Keep your hands away from it, and you press down like with your whole body weight and roll across the top. And I thought a meat cleaver would be great for that, because there's not tapering off to a point. It's all flat, got a long rolling edge, and it's just hold on and roll with it, and then as soon as you go through, it just gives you a really, really clean and precise cut. So that's what I use to make rubbers with. Is just a cheap as Kmart meat cleaver. No one can steal it because it says my rubber making knife on it. So, alright, moving along. This is weird, but yeah, I have a Cressy Mohawk trigger mechanism in my little spare parts. I've got a little box here with all this stuff in it. So this is just a old trigger mechanism I got off an old gun from Marketplace. As I was using it, I gave it to my dive buddy, and the gun went off pretty much without him even touching the trigger. And I was trying to load it, shaft came flying out, cleaned the mechanism, did it again, and then I deemed that gun unsafe. So what I did is I quickly took it in, bang, cut it straight in half. So that is where the handle of that lives, and you never know, if I make a gun in the future, which I am planning on, I'm probably going to reuse this because the grip is very, very comfy. It's sort of like satisfyingly comfy. It's sort of weird. I don't know, it's just like a little BB gun or something. It looks cool and it feels great too. Comfort is just next level with these Cressy handles. Alright, next thing is constrictor cord. I've got a fair bit of this stuff, which is sick because you can never ever go wrong without this stuff. This is a 100 kilo breaking strain constrictor cord, and this stuff is what you use to tie up all your rubbers pretty much. So that little knot that you see, just there, this gun's got old rubbers, I need to replace it, but that little knot there that holds the bead, which is back here, in here, that knot there is, that's made out of, that's a constrictor knot, and it gets its name from the constrictor cord, which is this. And this knot is just really good for holding everything in, and it's also great. I've used this as shooting line to get me out of trouble before, and used it for hundreds of different things. It's really, really top quality stuff. And there's a lot of it, so it's very, very good to have, very handy, and everyone wants their gun repaired when they're all going overseas, and you just cut it up in heaps of little bits. You're not worried on length or anything, you just get that. That's lasted me for nearly 3 years, that roll. So, top quality stuff. Next thing I have in the bucket is probably not the greatest way to store this, but this is monofilament shooting line, as you can see there. I just wound this up here just so it didn't unspool itself and go everywhere and make a massive mess, just a way I can keep it all tidy, neat and tight. Just how it is there, just tape the top, tape the bottom, it's all nice and neat. So moving on, we have, this is going to be gear I use. There's a bit of a mini shed that ties up anyway. It's not really a shed. Ready? So, got more weight here. So this is your traditional weight that I was talking about before. This one is who makes this one? Sea Hornet. It's probably 20 years old, that weight. But this is old school weight. As you can see, it's professionally done. There's no old person wrinkle lines in there. I think the way you stop the lead from setting as you're pouring it is if you've actually heated the mould itself. I haven't tried that yet, but it's something I will try. Or if you just make it in the mould. But anyway, moving on, that is my drop weight. It's by Oma. It's just 2 bits of bent, so 1 bit of stainless steel just bent around, and it is, what it does is, it clips on to your weight belt, like, so say this is your weight belt. It's obviously not, it's just a pull down strap. So this is your weight belt, you clip your weight on, you've just added a couple extra kilos, or a kilo or so, half a kilo, whatever you want to call it. And what this does is, when you're diving along, you got a little clip on here, or your float line sits to this, whatever you flavour. And you're like, okay, there's, I want to mark this spot because there's a crane there, or I want to mark this spot and swim like concentric circles around it. broadening my searching range, so I know I've covered this spot in particular. So your float line clips off to this, and then you simply unhook that. So this is your belt, keep in mind. You just unhook that from your belt. Your rope will be holding it on, like, let me just quickly whack this on. 1, 2, and 3. Like so. That's your weight there. You've just clipped it onto your float line and you want to drop it to the bottom. Easy as that. Weight sits on the bottom. This is where your float is. It's sitting up on the surface. You're swimming around it like that, or you are descending along your float line. Depending on how heavy your drop weight is, you can actually use your drop weight to, when you are going to make your dive. What some people have done, I haven't seen it personally, but I've heard about it being done, is they hold their drop weight, or it'd be a lot heavier than this, and what they do is they let about probably that much go, just say that much go, and then they hold onto it and they use the weight to drop themselves so they conserve the most energy as they're free falling to the bottom. And apparently it's a lot stealthier approach because you're not kicking for the first meter to break your buoyancy levels. So yeah, drop weights, very, very handy bits of kit, very, very handy bits of lead if you want. You always get this when you are either having a bad day with a knife and it drops out of your holster, or people just chuck them out. Knife holders. So these are, as you can see, they're all the same style, which is the it's like a belt, a traditional belt there. So let me just grab one of these. So I've had, as you can probably see here, 1, 2, 3 knives incorporating this. It's the Ocean Hunter that's now sitting on the back of my weight belt. The Ocean Hunter Assassin, which is a smaller version of that knife. It got lost, I don't know where the hell that dropped out. And the Cressy, I'm not sure what brand, what model it was off the top of my head. First knife I ever brought was wearing this, and all of a sudden, button wouldn't reach because it worked on, you push the button in, you pull the knife out, and shore diving, the button got a bit of sand in it. Went to drop the knife back in, the button didn't lock the knife in, swimming along in a shore break, knife fell out. See you later, 70 bucks I think it was, 80 bucks. Heartbreaking, but anyway. These are the straps if I'm using a knife on my leg other than my Rob Allen. I go to these for my clips because they're just real strong. They work off, as you can see, you got your little things there. You either punch them out or you cut them out or you do whatever you want to create an opening for your belt buckle, like your little buckle there, and just simply just exactly the same as a belt. So this is going to be an arm knife or a wrist knife. Let's just show. Pulls it on there, tightens it down, so it's around your leg, around your arm. Obviously not this tight where it's cutting off your circulation, but, and then you just kind of push that through, and so you push the little buckle through and it will hold, and then you just pull the rubber back. As you can see there, it snaps you probably couldn't see that, but it just snaps its way through, like so. And then if you want to get it off, just pull away from it like a weight belt. There's your release. Also with these knives, they come with a little, when you've got that excess, if you don't want to cut it off, you've got a little sliding tab there, just there. As you can see, one thing I have found, if your watch band breaks, as you can probably see here, there's one of those sliding tabs. It's gone way too far forward, but if your original watch band like this breaks, they're great as a stand-in. They do the exact same thing. So yeah, a little thing that I found, but great ones. 100% if you're going to use a dive knife strap, make sure you use these or you get yourself a pair of these. Ooh. So moving along in my bits and pieces box here, I've got this is a reel bracket for a Rob Allen reel. So when you buy a Rob Allen reel, they give you obviously the reel. They give you a little D shackle, sits at the top of your gun, like this one here. And they give you another little line runner that you would have seen on my Crusty in the first episode. But 100%, this makes it more the Rob Allen reel interchangeable between 2 or 3 different guns if you've got the brackets for them. They work off a system like a dovetail wood join. It's sort of, the further the reel slides forward, the tighter it gets and it won't come off. So great stuff, the old reel brackets. Really good thinking from Rob Allen to incorporate that, so then their reels are universal. Very smart in the business side of things. Next on the list we have a bridling tool, and need some bridles to go with your bridling tool. I just grabbed Ocean Hunters because I needed something to pinch, and then turns out that they had the bridles were reusable. So I did that. I bought these for a job and it didn't happen. So always good to have hanging around too, because at one point I had 4 spear guns here that I had to repair. They all needed new bridles, and I went and got some just in case. And luckily I had some spare ones kicking around. But this being the Rob Allen one, no secret, I really like Rob Allen gear. The one thing that's really awesome about the bridle holder is it actually holds 2 spare bridles in the back. So I take this travelling, if I'm going overseas on a spearfishing trip, I always make sure I've got 2 bridles in the back to replace 2 rubbers and a lot of constrictor cord. When you buy this actual bridling tool, they wrap constrictor cord around these 2 little notches here where your fingers sit, so that your fingers sit free, be like where your thumb and your pinky sits. So I wrap it around there, and they do when you buy it. But also good to have 2 spare bridles kicking in there, because you never know what may or may not happen when you're travelling and you need a bridle and you're in a pinch. So really good, get out of jail free card pretty much. So the premise on how these work, well, not really premise, just basically how these work is, so you've got your bridle here. There's like a little groove on the inside there. You slip this white Dyneema, it's called, which is your bridle. You slip that cord in there, and the bead sits sort of just proud of that, but it's got a certain point so it won't pop back down into this and break this. So it sits there nice and smooth, and then you get a piece of rubber. So you get some, hold on. So you get some rubber, you get some lubricant. I use silicone spray, it doesn't hurt the rubber as long as you don't spray it down the neck. Great stuff. So what I do is I just spray it into the small hole that they give you on the rubber, and also spray the top of the bridle like so, and you insert the bead into the rubber, holding down firmly I'm right hand dominant, so hold down firmly on the rubber really close to the neck of the rubber here with my left hand, and I push down with my right. Pushing it in, you want to push it in sort of as far as about that far. You want about so much hanging out, and then what you do is you pinch the bead with your left hand, give it a half twist, and pull out like so. Should snap straight out, ready to go for your next rubber making tool. So next rubber to make, or the other side of this rubber. So as you can see, the bead is set in there, and then just easy as. Once you've tied your constrictor knot, I usually leave about that much from where the bead is to the end. So I usually leave about that much, tie my constrictor knot, get it close to the end, tighten it off, burn it down, have it all you know, neat together. And then once I'm finished with that, I pull on the dyneema here. As you can see, that bead's moved from where my finger was now just about to the end, and then pulls out. Once again, I'll quickly show you. This isn't a rub making video, but I'll just quickly show you this. Bead in, so string in, lubricate. I'm pretty sure if you don't lubricate, you can actually damage your rubber by ripping and pulling at it, causing like a couple little micro tears, which can lead to bigger problems down the track in the future. Push it in to about that far, hold the bead, half twist, pull, bead's out. So the bead's out, so the tool's out, bead's still in there. So let me just, hold on. So, tool is free, bead is still in there. You've tied this rubber off already, and then you just 1, 2, 3, and it will obviously hold once you got your constrictor knot there. But that's how you use your bridling tool to insert a bridle into your rubber.